Turbid Station. Overkill difficulty guide. Couldn't they really just pick a better name to rename this heist? That's just my take. But anyhow, so this is pretty much the reimagine of Murky Station from Payday 2. So I'm going to use my normal route like I do for Murky Station by going heads down the basement to get some equipment. And also showing you all 4 ways to get the train cards open. Now, of course, the first one is probably one of the worst objectives to get in Turbid Station when it comes to getting the satellite alone. And it's actually hacking the remote control doors.
So what are we guarding here anyway?
So the worst thing about it is you need to at least clear everything in the basement, whether it be you had to completely clear away with the 2 guards, which of course you had to use 2 of your radios, so you are very restricted of how much pagers you can able to use. Also had to deal with all the civilians, being, you know, total either be 4 or 5. And you had to deal with, well, cameras in here. And since there's no security room, you can't kill the camera operator, so the cameras will be online all the time. And to make matters worse, there's a Cerberus core modifier, which a lot of people probably still don't know what that is. It happens when you do a hacked runtime of the camera. For example, if you try to loop a camera and you think it stays permanent, but it doesn't, it actually goes switch back to the red light. And that's what the Cerberus core does. You only have a few seconds to hack cameras for a short period of time. You'll probably already experienced that with the Golden Shark. So it is really annoying to deal with, especially when you combine both of the modifiers, being the Titan cams and the fact there's no camera operator to disable them. So the map definitely has been reimagining a lot of things for, well, for the engine here compared to its predecessor. There's a little more hostages around, unlike, you know, Payday 2 where you had 2 workers. The mission equipments are definitely a little different. Only 2 of them stayed the same. Of course, those 2 are being the key card and the SSD hard drive. As for the latest new 2 equipment you need to gather around the train station is the digital key card and, of course, this employee with the biometric scanner, which is definitely the worst one to get because it's the most time-consuming and it really sacrifices a lot of things you need to do. So I'm just trying to find which one is it, and it's on across the other room. So of course my advice here is just hug the wall and make sure they don't have much line of sight on you. Also, once we reach the train station, the drones also behave a little differently this time. Unlike Payday 2, where a lot of the drones usually, you know, take a nice little rest on top of the train cars, they will be moving around constantly. And they basically act like pretty much mobile cameras. But the thing about the drones in Payday 3, they don't have coated with Titan material, so you can actually destroy them. But by doing so, if a guard sees a destroyed drone, he will actually call in for a search and will trigger a search phase. So only shoot them as a last resort. And of course, if you're in trigger and search mode, well, it's kind of better off if you do shoot all the drones. That way you don't have to worry about the eyes in the sky. So as I'm making my way towards the train station, there's actually another path you can take, which I don't know if I'm gonna able to pause it a good moment here, if I get a good shot. All right, so you can actually able to drop down from the overpass on one of the pillars, and there's actually scaffolding where you can actually drop down towards the train cars. And yes, you can actually get on top of the train cars in Turbid Station. So it does give you a little bit more room to breathe. You can still go under the train cars. However, though, one of the things I really dislike about this heist is, well, not really the heist itself, but more so of its the mechanics of Payday 3, and that is when it comes to hiding corpses and bodies. And the fact that you can only do it while standing still is baffles me. It's really annoying because one, well, in Payday 2, of course, you do have to bag them up, but you can able to crouch. Two, you can actually throw the bodies underneath the train cars with no problem, or the vents inside the basement. And yet in Payday 3, you can't do any of that. And despite what Shade says, that you can actually able the vents in the basement are a great place to hide, and you can able to stash a body down here. But you can't even stash a body at all because you keep standing all the time. And if you try to throw a corpse, you just the body will just drop dead weight pretty much. Like you don't even move it at all. So to me, that it is really annoying, and I really hope they actually find a way to improve for Turbid Station because so far it does feel a little bit restricted. Now we're in actually the well, more the security room. Not really much security, but you do have to hack the computer to do the remote control door. So I used the throwing knife to give him distract a little bit of noise to give him more time because the guards will actually find out about the hacking devices, including the computer and the little terminals on the side of the train car. And on Overkill, you only have a small time window, which you only have a minute to get inside a train car. And to me right there, this is one of the worst objectives because you have to go through all that shit and then somehow it could be on the other side of the map, so you have to make sure you memorize which one it is. I almost got lost there for a sec. So usually what I like to do is actually put down my deployable, since like the outline could serve as like a nice marker. Even though I have an extra time to spare, it's still rough, man. I really hope they actually. I would love it for them to actually increase the timer, at least for an additional 30 seconds. Which I know they have a favor that you can able to extend the timer on these doors, but the thing is, I would never use it because A, if you play with another buddy, you can have someone stayed in that door while the other one hacks, makes that favor so useless. Sure, it's more useful when doing, solo and overkill difficulty, but the plan is I'm not going for all the loot since I already done that. A pacifist, anyway. So I really don't see the extra point of that favor. I don't see any much positive about it unless you do really truly want to go for all the loot. But to me, I just won't bother with it because you're just better off just get the two satellite prototypes and that's it. And that's another new thing that really threw me off guard the one time. Guards can now go through inside the train cars if both doors are open. So do be careful with that. And they do go through the room that has the the red key card, and the digital key rooms as well. So you, of course, that means more pathfinding for them. So do be careful with that. So I can able to get on top of the train car, which gives you a nice, good, clear view. And if you want to know which train car you're trying to look for, you want to look for that has the word quants on it, which are very easy enough to identify. Plus, you can always identify with the, the yellow thing covered up on the side of the train car. And of course, there's the white bulletin board on the blue cargo container that you can see what type of equipment on which location it has. So the red key card and the SSD hard drive can be both found either in the train station or in the basement. As for the other two, which always be stayed on one each of the levels respectively. So the digital key card can be found on a worker, which is usually loves to hang around close to the docks, and usually lives close at the opposite side where you spawn in this map. So there's 3 locations. One is pretty much he loves hanging around the corner of the under the overpass and close to the docks. And the other one is second location. He can be found where the white bulletin board is. He usually likes to stay around in the blue cargo container. And the third and final location that the worker can be found is close at the front of the closest train, the head of the train, where there's like a lot of empty spaces, especially next to the red half container. Now, of course, as for the computer itself, well, it's always located in the maintenance room or the basement. And we'll have some sort of like tech guy. Usually wears, of course, a very bright shirt with glasses. And interestingly, there's actually 2 public areas in this map. So you have, of course, the spawn point, which is on top of the overpass, and one by the docks. The only private areas is pretty much the basement and the maintenance room. And of course, the secure area is, of course, the train station itself. And of course, the security room. So that's all the loot, and that's pretty much Turbid Station in a nutshell. And I'll show you how the other 2 work. Alright, so the third way to unlock the train cars is by using the digital key. And of course, in order to get it, you had to find the, the one lone worker, which is pretty much the only worker that's showed up in the train station itself. So yeah, just if you do the same thing, like 99 boxes and touch the sky, you just have to stay in his range. Of course, an easy tip with this, if you're playing with another player, well, one of them can actually hack the phone, and the other one can wait it out in the train card to able to unlock the door, which saves you a lot more time. Of course, most of these I try to give out different tips when you're playing solo or with friends. And of course, another thing too with the digital is when you actually open that door, make sure you also open the door on the other side as well, because If you try to go through the other side and the door is locked because you need a digital keycard, but you already use it, well, you just have to remember that. Especially if you want to go for all the loot challenge.